What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Let's Talk About It. Join with me today is the MFFer himself, Run 7. Super excited to have as our featured guest, and excited to get to know you a little bit better on the show here. How you doing, buddy?
Great, Taco. How you doing? As if we haven't been talking behind the scenes for 15 minutes.
Man, if I was any better, there'd be 13 of me. So happy to have you here, and excited to sort of introduce you a little bit more to the community, hopefully in a way that they're not already familiar with. So what? Let's just dive into it. Like, what got you into content creation? What got you into making videos, doing Twitch? What was that moment for you?
Mobile gamer unlocking Ultron and cackling with laughter, and it looked like so much fun, and everybody was in his chat, and it was blowing up, and he was just having a great time. And I said, I want to experience that. And so I started by making these, we called them roster roasts, and I was roasting my alliance's defense on Discord and just making jokes about the stuff that they would build and put on defense. And they said, you should do this in front of a camera. And so I went and got a camera and I started doing it. And if you go through my catalogs and see the very first YouTube video I made of it, it's very atrocious. But I kept getting better at it. And along the way, I think Goofy Rexy started doing roster roasts as well.
Mm-hmm.
And he blew up big. And so I switched and started calling it Defense Up. And that was just kind of the thing I would go on stream and do just for fun on a regular basis to create some YouTube content.
Mm-hmm.
But I really fell in love with the Twitch community and streaming live and just playing this game and interacting with people and connecting with other people through the Twitch community is probably my favorite part.
Yeah. So when exactly did that all start up for you? Was it during the pandemic?
Yes, it was the middle of the pandemic, like a lot of us. Gosh, I can't even remember. I think I've been streaming for 2.5 years now.
Nice.
Close to 2.5 years.
Nice. Well, it doesn't feel like it. I feel like you are, like, without a doubt, the most underrated content creator in the MSF community.
Thank you.
I feel like I'm actually amazed that you haven't gotten bigger than you are. I find your YouTube videos recap is the most entertaining thing that I watch on YouTube, period. I find it's so funny, and you put so much effort into this, and it's just masterfully done. And so, bravo.
Well, thank you. I always feel like I can do better. I rewatch all of my content to try and cut out clips and see how I can improve, because I kind of treat it like a business, but I've always wanted to do my own thing. And so I think that's why my growth is so slow, is because I don't do a lot of the things that are kind of highly recommended. Like, I don't have an Instagram account or do TikToks or make a lot of shorts or any of the stuff that everybody recommends you do. I've always just kind of had fun with it, and the people who enjoy watching me are going to join me, and the people who don't watch me, and it's never been a big deal for me. So, but I'm planning on selling out big in the future, so maybe that'll change, but we'll see how it goes.
All right, so so as far as the other content that you do, the Defense Up videos, massive improvement. I think I gave you a little slack once upon a time, and by think, I was drunk and I was probably pretty ruthless on the Defense Up video, but I did heavily praise the recap. I always have. The Defense Up videos have gotten so much better. Really doing a good job with those. And
well, that's a community effort there. I bring in a lot of we call them the CAC, or Community Assistance Crew. You know these people, Juicy, Athame, Pathfinder Gaming jumps in there, and they help me to figure out these teams, because Crucible is so incredibly complex. And so we generate a lot of different ideas. They really put that together, and then I'm just the mouthpiece, and I throw it out there, and I try to make it as quick and entertaining as I possibly can. But I still think that could use improvement too.
Well, I mean, we're all a work in progress, really.
Right.
That's the I don't think we'll ever see what we're doing and be like, that's the best it can do. And if you get there, bravo. I just hope you can keep it there.
Perfection is the death of improvement, and so you don't ever want to find that you've done your best, because then you'll stop improving. And I always want to be improving. So I'm kind of tossing around the idea of making the recap like put it out like twice a week instead of every day and make it more of a 10-minute video and push harder into the comedy, recap the entire week and then recap the entire weekend, including the blog post, and just do
Yeah.
it twice a week. But I don't know. I don't know where it's going to go. These are all just ideas I have, and I'm constantly generating more ideas than I know what to do with.
Well, so obviously I want to see it as much as I possibly can, so I love the weekly edition, but at the same time, you've got to do what's best for you, what's best for your channel, what's best for your family, what's best for all of that. And so if breaking it down into 2 episodes, but them being significantly longer, I'm not necessarily opposed to that either.
Well, a lot of people tell me they just tune in for the bloopers at the end. So and that kind of kills me a little bit, because it's like I put all the work into the main body of it and you guys just like the mistakes. But
well, not me. The bloopers are the icing on the cake. I like my cake, though. I like my cake. So
well, the idea was to just get information out to the community as quickly as possible so that they don't have to waste their time sifting through all of the junk content that's out there, because we are getting a lot more content creators in Marvel Strike Force. Some of them are good, some of them are less good, and I want people to be sure to pick up on the important things, not miss out on what they're supposed to be saving that day, what they're supposed to be spending, what's coming up in the future, all that.
So as far as mobile games go, is this your first foray into just hardcore playing a mobile game? I know it's sort of a foreign concept for a lot of people. When I was out in San Diego for TwitchCon, when I'm with other Twitch partners, and of course everybody's introducing themselves and going through, what do you do, and it's it's the these MMO games or hot tubs or whatever, and then people would get to me and be like, I play a mobile video game called Marvel Strike Force, and they're like, and you made partner? And I was like, yeah. And a lot of people like it. I don't know what to tell you. But the shock on their face when I told them that I got that from playing a mobile video game, and then when I told them there's actually a bunch of partners from the mobile video game, it was just it was a flooring moment for those people that I was talking to. So is this the first time that you've really dove this deep into a mobile game?
The most I've ever played on a mobile game of anything was about a month, and then I would get bored of it. I've been playing Marvel Strike Force since the first round of Magneto entering the game. I think it was back when Captain Marvel was the hot sauce. And I think that's like somewhere close to 1,400 days. I don't know how many years that is, but I've never come close to anything like Marvel Strike. Yeah, sometimes that's what it feels like. Yeah. Honestly, though, it really is the community that keeps me in touch.
Yeah.
That keeps me locked in here, because once I just dove in, it's like with anything, the more you learn a thing, the more you can appreciate it. And I found that there was so much to learn about this game, so many deep strategies and stuff involved in it. And so the more I got into it and the more I dove into the community, the more I was really locked into this game.
Yeah, no, so I look at a lot of video games that have huge online presence and whatnot, and, talking about like Call of Duty and what's the other big one that all the kids are playing these days?
Like League of Legends and stuff.
Yeah, League of Legends and those style of games. Those communities are shockingly toxic, and really really aggressive, and a lot of hateful comments and things like that are said in them. And don't get me wrong, like our community has its moments. But overall, it's such a loving and accepting and giving community, and of their time, of their energy, and it's definitely what has sort of kept me doing this, and I'm super appreciative, just as you are.
Well, I mean, especially on the platforms that we operate on, in Twitch and YouTube, there's everybody here seems just fantastic. So I don't know, maybe I've filtered out the bad ones by now, but it sure seems like a great community to me.
Yeah. So we've got a fun conversation coming here in just a minute with our panel. But before we get to that conversation, where are you with the state of the game of Marvel Strike Force? Like, are you happy with where it's been? Are you happy with where it's going? What do you like? What don't you like?
So I have this horrible tendency to filter everything that everyone says because I review everybody's videos
Mhm.
and I review Reddit and I go to try and get a feel for what the community is saying and what news is going on in any 24-hour period. And a lot of that ends up influencing me on how I view the game. And so I tend to think, oh, it's the game's dying, everyone's leaving, it's all going, it's all falling apart. But then I stop and think about it, and I'm like, I'm actually having fun in Cosmic Crucible. I don't mind
Yeah.
these new rule sets. The War Dogs in 6 isn't as bad as we thought, and we're actually crafting as a community these interesting ways of dealing with it. And I challenge myself to do new things. Like last season, I went hard offense in Crucible, and this season, I'm going hard on defense and playing it differently. And we're having a lot of fun. And so that's great. The path to apocalypse, at first I was like, well, this sucks. We're just going to have to build all this set stuff. But we're starting to see like players who are coming into the apocalypse path right now don't necessarily need to build the teams that I had to build because I was on the first run and you had to get something like 2.5 or 3 million score to really get, your high stars on those horseman characters. And we're seeing now on the third time around, fourth time around of these horseman scourge runs, you don't need to get near those kind of points. So you don't have to build the Asgardians if you don't want to. You can go with some different stuff. And it opens up a wider variety of what you want to build. And so that's pretty cool. And I really think that a lot of times the pessimism leads with the community, but after we get a chance for some of the really smart people to get in there and dig through it and sift through it, we find interesting and creative ways to deal with all these problems. And usually we come together as a community and fight back against all the nonsense that Scopely sends our way. And it's kind of fun. It's like, oh man, they're making us hoard this or they're taking away this. How are we going to deal with it? And everybody's like, oh, I have an idea, and it spreads like wildfire. And then the next cycle, the next blog post, Scopely tries to throw a wrench in the works and stop us from doing that. Like minions,
Yeah.
you don't want to get past node 4? Well, minions on nodes 1 and 2. And then it was like, oh, well, how do we do this? So I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, no, I'm in a very similar position. I enjoy the game immensely, and I've got my style of play, which typically includes a lot of time and a lot of resources, we'll call them. And I have a good time playing the game. I will say I was floored playing Crucible this week and finding multiple options to get through Wakanda. I legitimately thought Wakanda wasn't going to be cleared until Masters of Evil came out. I was like, it's just it's just not going to work. And then to turns out, just OG Darkhold works quite wonderful, or some combination of Eternals and various other stuff. Like it was surprising to see all of the different options that became available and actually worked without any issue. So that was really nice. And then to find out that turns out Tangled Web isn't it super effective in the room that they're designed for. Yeah, there's options.
Right.
And honestly, I'm excited about this Crucible significantly more than I was last week. Just from the standpoint of, I feel like there's not going to be as much turtling going on either, at least not in the early weeks of it. Because
it kind of flip-flopped, didn't it? Like at the high end last season, everybody was kind of turtling, or probably the majority.
Yeah.
And then it flipped, and now everybody at the high end is going full offense. So naturally, I'm doing the opposite because I always like to go for the bad ideas first. But I thought that was interesting. Everybody was talking about unlimited in room 4, and then Gamma beats them easy, and then they're like, well, if you adjust your placement, Gamma stumbles, and so there's always this fluid change of Crucible, and I think it's a really fun, creative spot for us to really challenge ourselves in how we build our teams, what ISOs we're using, all sorts of stuff. So I think the game is in a great state. Obviously, it could be better. There's lots of things that we still want. Those quality of life improvements.
Yeah.
Like, for the love of God, could I drag and drop my character on the selection screen already? Like, that's been a day one thing, and it's probably never going to change. But there's tons of little things they could still do to improve the game that would make it a lot more friendly for us.
Yeah. That sounds like a whole nother episode of Let's Talk About It.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, guys. So we're going to head over to our roundtable discussion. Run 7, thank you so much for being here with me today. Excited to introduce the rest of our guests this afternoon. And here we go. Greatest transition ever. Bum, bum, bum. Slick, right? Super slick transition.
Super with 2 O's. Super slick.
Hey, Brad, look at what you're saying. The thing that grates me is when you get a new character, you can level them up one by one. Like, I just wish we can just jump to like level 12 from 1 to 12 in one button.
Oh god. Well, so for me, I want to go from level 1 to 69. I always stop at 69 while I'm building, just because giggity. I think it's funny.
Giggity.
Sorry, not the level. I mean the gear. Sorry.
The gear. Remember when we didn't have equip all button? That was horrifying.
Oh,
and
horrible.
you had to put in each piece manually. Oh my goodness.
I
because
think that was before my time.
17. Oh my goodness.
That's still hard. First world problem, but that's still hard. I just want to go straight with boom. Gear 13.
Max gear. Give me a max gear option.
That's the thing that this company seems to have trouble processing, is looking far into the future. They seem to always be looking at the next quarter, and they need to start thinking long term and think about sliders and think about percentage progression and stuff like that, so that in the long term there's never a ceiling. There's always a way that you can continue moving forward, because now we have all these Krakens that are reaching 7 red stars on nearly their entire roster, and we're hearing some grumbling about what's coming next. We'll
talk about that. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. So, just real quick to introduce our panel for today. Up in the top left corner, we've got the one, the only, the goddess of MSF. Thank you so much for joining, all the way from New Zealand, right?
Yep, I am. It's Monday here now, almost 10 o'clock in the morning. Good morning, Kia ora.
Wow. Well, so thank you for joining us so early on a Monday morning. For the majority of us, it's still Sunday, middle of the day.
So lucky.
But you have a holiday today, so that's nice.
That's true. That's true. Shh. I'll pretend like I'm working now.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for being here. I look forward to the conversation. Going around the table, of course, we've already met Run 7. Up in the top right corner, we've got one of my besties, Lex Lethal, coming in here.
Let's go.
I really appreciate you coming in on the short notice. You are the best, my friend. I love your face.
Of course. I love you too, man.
And I love the orange. I love the it works.
Yeah, I got a whole bunch of different colors that I bought for streaming. Yeah, so I thought I'd rock the orange today.
And last but certainly not least, joining us today, one of the top free-to-play players in the game, Mr. Killshot himself. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
Man, I am fantastic. A pleasure to get to hang out with you finally. Everybody, of course, sees you in chat all the time. Always nice to see a picture with the text.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So again, thank you everybody for joining. Today's conversation is sort of going to be about the new Strike Time video, right? So we finally got a Strike Time video for the first time in about 8 months, and it basically shored up our Apocalypse journey. So the Apocalypse journey started almost a year ago, I guess about 10 months ago, something like that, when we first found out that these characters were coming in, and found out what the first Horseman character was going to be, Morgan Le Fay. And we've had such a journey with a lot of ups and a lot of downs in the last year as we've sort of gone through this. We went from virtually no communication and no heads up on character usage and what characters are coming out to arguably too much transparency in the character release path, so to speak, at least in some people's opinions. I personally have enjoyed that that communication coming out. But it's been a lot. So there's been a lot of characters we've had to level up. Some of them for good, some of them not so much. So starting out real quick with the good scourges. What's been y'all's favorite scourge to play? Because previously Legendary was not memorable. Now we've got the Scourge release method. If nothing else, is a super memorable, super memorable game mode. Like I remember unlocking all of these characters, and I can't say that about any other Legendary release.
So I like what Mobile had to say about it. I do 100% like the fact that they are actually making you earn the legendary characters as should be. These characters are legendary, and so they should be legendary. They should be hard to get. They should not, it should not be for every single player to get. Basically, before, you just had to have the 5-star. Pretty much as long as you had these characters at 5-star, you could unlock the character. It was super unfulfilling. And so I do like that about it. However, the one thing that I don't like about the Scourges is just the RNG that's involved with some of the Scourges. I feel sometimes that can get pretty frustrating, especially if you don't have certain teams you need built or, stuff like that. So, and my particular favorite one is probably, as of yet, is probably the War Scourge, mainly because the two teams that are required, I believe Wakanda and Bionic Avengers, if I'm not mistaken, right? For the War Scourge.
Yeah.
Those, I like that one because those are two teams that you're going to get utility out of, right? You're going to get use of those teams outside of Scourge. And the other Scourges, I believe it was only maybe one team that you would get use out of outside of Scourge, like, YA, Inhuman, A-Force. You're really only going to use Young Avengers. I mean, maybe some people use A-Force, but not really. And so for me, it's been the War Scourge.
Killshot, what about you?
As far as Scourges go, I think it's somewhat player friendly. I remember when I first started out as a new player, getting legendaries wasn't always guaranteed on their first round. And now, I mean, we're seeing people without spending getting 7-star legendaries on their first pass. That's not something we used to be able to do. So I think it's friendly. And the fact that every team that we are required to use on those, nodes 5 and 10, we use them everywhere, at least in my alliance.
Yeah.
All these teams mandatory. Like I have to use A-Force, I have to use Dark Hunters, raid teams, Web Warriors, stuff like that. So I think it's a very friendly method because if you want to set a high difficulty and run it with no Scourges, you can do that. If you have weak teams but you have patience and know how the kits work, you can get away with slapping on a whole bunch of Scourges and you're getting your legendaries. I think it's a very friendly player method.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think there's no doubt about it. While it's extremely they've been extremely challenging. It's also been extremely free to play friendly with this method, and which is nice to see because a lot of the game's not free to play friendly. Duchess, oh my God, I did it again! I'm Goddess. Forgive me.
It's okay.
I don't know.
For me,
for what it's worth, I love Duchess and I love you. So.
For me, the Scourges are pretty much, if I'm honest, I think I felt they're all pretty much the same. Like I was more glad the fact that they made the other Scourges not a lot. Yeah, well, it is a lot easier than the first one. You guys all remember when Pestilence came out and how difficult that was?
Oh
and
my
people
God.
quit over it and everything, because it's so ridiculous. And then the second one, when it came, everyone was a little bit sort of wary as to how hard it was going to be. And then the relief when people went through the famine one and go, okay, I can do this. And I think they made it, that adjustment was really good because it made it sort of more player friendly and it wasn't as crazily difficult. Even for Kraken players and stuff, I can tell you Pestilence was a pestilence, really. I wouldn't say I almost wanted to quit over that. So that was my least favorite, I guess, so to speak. My favorite one, I would have to say, would definitely be War as well. I think because you can see the evolution of how they done the Scourges,
Yeah.
and by the time they got to the War one, it's kind of well tuned so that it's difficult enough that it makes it worthwhile, as in you have to really work hard to get your legendary character, but then at the same time it's not completely impossible to do
Yeah.
it. So
Now,
yeah, that's my favorite.
with the Death Scourge in particular, with that Death Scourge in particular, you know, that brought in something that we hoped we'd never see again, and that was the need to utilize minion characters. As a top end player that has virtually your entire roster near max, what did you think when you realized you were actually going to use those minions that you powered up that you never thought you were going to touch?
I tell you that was so funny because in our alliance, obviously, you know, being one of the top alliances, we have all these Krakens. So everyone was hood. And a lot of people haven't even touched some
Yeah.
of their minions. And it's hilarious watching the game screen. It's like, you know, such and such just promoted, hand sorceress to G16, you know, and then there's such an, and then every so
That's
often you'll be
gross.
accompanied by someone vomiting, someone going, yeah, the apocalypse is here, you know, everyone's leveling up their minions because they kept us guessing for a while, you know, as to
Oh my
whether
God.
it's new minions. Obviously, we knew the ones from the Ravagers was going to be
Yeah.
used, so there was at least 2 or 3. You're like, okay, we're just gonna find the other few.
Yeah.
Which one are we gonna use? So it was a bit of that, you know. But having said that, luckily, of course, as you all know, with the G17 tier 17 gear, all the sort of gold gears, there was abundance over them now. So
Yeah.
at least for most people, they could take a lot of these minions to at least G15.
Yeah.
So it wasn't so bad for us, yeah.
Yeah. Run, what about you? What was your favorite Scourge and why?
I think I would have liked the War Scourge the best as well. But it when it first launched, it came during a time of chaos in my life, and I didn't have time to do it very effectively, and so I got really low stars respectively on Red Hulk. So that was frustrating for me. But when I came back around to it the second time and played it, I was like, this is really well built. I think that they progressed really well. The first one with the Web Warrior RNG nodes 5 and then node 10. That was brutal, and they learned their lesson. Like we barked and they heard us, and they fixed that, so it wasn't near as bad. And every iteration has seemed to get better and better, and so I think that's good. So props to them on that. I think they have been fairly fun to play. I would have liked a little bit different tags for 5 and 10 rather than the specific team callouts. I know that they want us to build certain stuff, but I think that they should have just included a different variety of tags that also included the 5-piece that they wanted us to build, but included some other stuff too. Give us a little bit more variety, would have been fun. I would have even accepted it to be a little more challenging because of that. I think that would have been good. And as for the minions, at first, I was like the only one promoting this. Like, this is going to be great. We get to look at a whole new section of our roster and theory craft all of it, but they screwed it up because it came in a blog post, just lightly highlighted in a list, like not really, like they're going to sneak it by us or something and we're not going to notice it. It was so horrible. And I saw that and I just laughed for days when I saw that because I knew the community was going to hate it.
Yeah.
And so I really wish that they would have said, we're putting minions in nodes 1 and 2, and we have no intention of bringing in new characters or reworking any of these minions. Like right off the bat, let us know, because what did we all do? We all speculated on, is MODOK coming to the game? Should we be building AIM? Is there going to be a strike team member that reworks the shield minions? And so no one could do anything. And that really ruined it all for us. If they would have just said right off the bat, hey, we're making you use the crap at the bottom of your roster and this is what it's going to be, then we'd be like, okay, let's get to theory crafting.
Yeah. And I was not, so after the Pestilence, so like, Goddess was talking about how rough the Pestilence Scourge was. After participating in that, I was checked out on chasing RNG. Like as soon as I did that, I was like, nope, I'm not doing this again.
I think we all were.
I'll unlock the character turn 1. I'll max the character out turn 2. I'll get a decent enough score in the first round that I won't have to do a whole lot the second round. But I'm not trying to get a 7-star unlock. I'm not willing to put myself through that under any circumstances whatsoever. So I'm just going to do it this route. And so when they announced what the characters were for Death and they mentioned minions, my process, and in fairness, they ended up reducing the challenge of those nodes because of the outrage of the community. Or at least that's my understanding. But even if they didn't, I was just telling everybody, like, chill, guys. Like, at the end of the day, if no one tries hard, then everyone's getting the same thing, and it'll be fine. So just do what you can do, get through it, stop worrying about it, and just don't let a game affect your mental health.
The best part is that they are making these unlocks easier for newer players first time through. Like, everybody can get it their first time through. It's just, if you want to be that sweaty tryhard, you really have to push, and you are competing against other people. And that's cool. That's how it should be. You know, you should have to really work if you want to get there. But I think it's great that everybody got to unlock and play the characters for the most part.
Yeah,
and the minions thing turned out to be not that bad. Everybody
it really did. Yeah,
everybody was freaking out, and it turned out to be it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, again, communication would have made that so much better.
You said that really well, Run. 100. Well, just the fact that they should have let everybody know, hey, we're not reworking these characters.
Yeah.
Don't just build whatever. Yeah, don't overinvest. Build what minions you want to build. And because I was one of those people, I thought it was going to be AIM. Oh, MODOK's coming. I was one of those people, and so I 100% agree with your answer, dude.
All right. So transitioning sort of along over to strike characters. So we got our first strike character with Spider Weaver. There was a lot of concern again around that lack of communication and whatnot. And so during the Strike Tag video, just very casually, hold on, what was the guy's name? Rick Mayer, very casually, with a Bangs of Destiny.
I was gonna go
Rick
like
Mayer.
this.
So, I don't know what that look is about. Fashion police arrest.
Oh my god, I've never seen anything like it before. But I'm terrified to make fun of him because what if there's some kind of disfigurement or he doesn't like wearing an eye patch, like so I don't want to make fun of the guy, but those bangs. Anywho, Rick very casually just sort of threw out, oh yeah. The other two members are going to be Kestrel and Deathpool, and I was like, oh. So that was sort of what everybody thought, and it's nice to know that that's finally true. Would have been real nice to hear that a couple months ago if you're just going to sort of slide Killshot.
Yeah, seriously.
It's almost like they don't have a group of people that work with the community to bring them information. It's almost like they don't have that, and they don't know what we were waiting for. Like, it was such important information that we've been begging for forever, and it was just so nonchalantly thrown out there.
It was like, oh yeah. Of course it's going to be Kestrel and Deathpool. It's fine. And now that being said, it is fine. So Spider Weaver, meta character, right? Deathpool, not quite meta, but a really strong, really good character.
Useful.
And
yes.
I mean, energy batteries, those are always good for longevity.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Kestrel, while she's not top meta, she's still in the meta category, right? Like she still has amazing plug and play usage on so many different teams.
I took her to G17 3 days before that announcement. I didn't know, and so when they announced that, I was like, "Thank you."
So I did it a week and a half ago because I'm like, I've got all of this skill and tech gear. I may as well put it here.
Right.
So
you're wasting cores when skill bends you over.
I went one step even further. I took her to ISO Blue level 2 ISO Blue about a week ago after I'd done the the saga for what is it for War Saga, and I remember getting so much stick from my alliance members and from Zubin, and now
Yeah.
who's having the laugh now, Zubin?
Got us the prophet right here. Better watch out.
Yeah, I got lucky, man. I waited. I brought her to 17 the day after the day of the announcement. I brought her up to 17.
Yeah. Now, so while we've got your attention, Goddess, there's been a lot of conversation now about ISO on Deathpool and on Kestrel, and with Kestrel in particular, I'm torn. I don't know if I want to do Raider. I don't know if I want to do Striker. I've actually got both at Blue 4 ISO. And I was just sort of waiting, trying to figure out. I'm not sure which I'm going to do. Deathpool, I've always had as a striker. I've never had her as anything other than a striker, but people are starting to suggest skirmisher. Some people are also suggesting Raider on her. Because she does hit multiple attacks with her basic and with her special. For me, I'm leaning towards Striker on her. I'm leaning towards Raider on Kestrel. What are your thoughts?
So my thoughts are it depends on the rest of your horseman team, because obviously to unlock Apocalypse, you're using the horseman teams as well as the strike team. So it depends on what the synergy between the other ones, because obviously, as you know, strikers and skirmishers sort of needs to go hand in hand, or raiders, I suppose. If they so you got to look at the if you're going to put striker on any of them, you got to look at obviously what their ISO attack does, because a lot of people don't realize and make assumption is that automatically they just look at their basic and assume that that's the same as their ISO attack, and it's never the same. So you do need to double check that. So for me personally, without obviously knowing how it's going to go, who you're facing and stuff like that, I think if you got most of your other members as strikers already, I do like Kestrel naturally as a striker because she does hit damn hard, and I know for a fact that her ISO hit definitely puts defense down on the enemy turn, so that's always an advantage. So I think I would keep her striker, but if I was to say put her and Deathpool in a fight together, then I would not make Deathpool the striker for that reason. So I would make her skirmisher for a few reasons. Raider maybe, but I think skirmisher because with her special, she obviously flips all the negatives on her and transfer it to your cross. And I guess it's just making sure she does it. But more importantly, I think it's just to put more vulnerables on the others. Plus, with her basic as well, she hits the primary and adjacent turns as well. So there's an advantage of spreading the vulnerables as well with if she's a skirmisher. And then obviously when you have your Kestrel there, she can then use that vulnerables for her attack and double attack, triple attack.
Yeah, Killshot, what are your thoughts on the strike characters?
I thought they were very gracious with that. They really could have made it 3 brand new characters, and they would have made themselves a lot of money. Yeah. But they earned a little bit of goodwill, and we had our thoughts that these were going to be the 3 strike characters, and they were. So we lucked out with that. But they really could have gone the other way. So I think it was very gracious of them to make it, their created characters, Kestrel, Deathpool, and Weaver. It really helped us out.
Yeah, no, absolutely, couldn't agree more. Lexi Sexy, what about you?
I think it's amazing. That we got those characters. I think that it was super player friendly. I'm really happy that we don't have to build some random new characters from level 1 all the way up to gear tier 17. And just to add, or just to agree with what everybody said, it's great that these characters all still have use. So I'm actually very happy about it.
Yeah, and Run?
So we have 3 characters on the strike team. Are we going to get 2 more, or is it? And then if not, like, how are they going to be used in the Apocalypse Saga? Are we going to have to put 1, 2, or 3 of them in with our choice of a 4th and 5th? Like, how's that going to work? Because if that's, I think it would be great if we could choose a 4th and 5th to go into it, and then we get to develop the strategy. And then it's going to be like God has said, you're going to have to look at who's on the team together and who you want putting vulnerables out there, who you want doing their ISO attack, that sort of thing. I think these 3 characters are great. I think they're good, solid characters with a lot of value. It could have been so much worse.
Yeah.
A lot of us, have been building Kestrel because of the skill nodes and everything. So I think it's great. I just want a little bit more information on how they're going to be used to unlock Apocalypse. And then for me, when it comes to what ISOs you use on them, well, first off, Pathfinder told me to use Raider in the skill nodes. I switched Kestrel over to a Raider, and the skill nodes started working. So shout out to Pathfinder Gaming for that one. And then where you're using them, you got to use them correctly. So I think Blue 3, you kind of go with a dual ISO class for most of these characters, for a Crucible or for raids or whatever. But then when you go to 4 or 5, that's going to depend on how they're used to unlock Apocalypse, or, maybe you'll kind of force something to get through Apocalypse because it's more important to have it for raids or some other game mode or something like that. So once we get more information, then I'll decide whether I want to go 4 or 5, and that's going to take a lot of the community helping me sift through the data.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, I'm super happy knowing that, we know all the characters that are going to be in it now. They said that it is just going to be the 23, and so having that info, but how are they going to have us use those last 3 characters? Will they be 3 on their own in certain nodes, or will it be a bit of a mix and match? Or will
they
literally
supply the 4th and 5th characters, like new characters that come in or something like that? Who knows?
Well, and potentially it could be something as simple as you can literally use any character you want on all the nodes, but you just have to have all these characters at this level in order to proceed. So we don't have all the information yet, so it's just a matter of time before we do. But that takes us to the final conversation about this sort of path to Apocalypse that we've been on, and that is the Blue 4, Blue 5 ISO requirements that are needed, and not as much the ISO requirements and how to use them as the how to get them. Blue 4 has been out for a long time now without a real way of farming. 5, same thing. I mean, we get a little bit of Blue 4 ISO, was it through raids or war? I don't know. I don't have my notes in front of me. I'm just went blank. Anywho, through those 2 game nodes is where we're getting a little bit of the stuff from. How does it make you feel knowing that these are the characters that are required, and this is the Blue 4 ISO that's required, and ions and whatnot, and the inaccessibility of it, and even from a price standpoint for like myself and for Goddess, like the deals that they put out are just asinine. They're horribly overpriced for what you get. I mean, initially it was something like $250 was to take one character to Blue 4 ISO. That was the initial pricing. And then they reduced it to $150, and now it's sitting at $100. And that's bonkers. That's absolutely bonkers that you could take one character to Blue 4 for $100, and initially it was $250. How does it make you feel with that struggle of getting that? Killshot, we'll start with you.
As far as the Blue 4 ISO, I mean, if you're not in a competitive alliance, that's going to hurt you because you get your Blue ISO through War and Crucible. So for the longest time, I've heard the majority of alliances or members saying they do not care about War at all. And now, I hope your mindset has changed because you're going to have a slow road getting your Apocalypse. And then, the only other way is Crucible, unless you're spending, you're spending your paycheck on it. So you really need to start taking Crucible serious. I know a lot of people still hate the mode. Some people say they don't even play it, and I mean, you might as well just quit. I mean, unless you're just screwing around, just playing for fun, you don't care. You're not getting Apocalypse if you're not taking your Crucible and your War serious.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I'm still sort of surprised people aren't enjoying Crucible. I legitimately, it's the best thing in the game since I've been playing, in my opinion. I enjoy it so much. Lexi, what about you?
So yeah, to what Killshot said, yeah, I mean, if you're not planning on getting Apocalypse, like, you're not going to be able to be competitive in the game. That's for sure. And as far as getting blue ISO 4 and 5, I mean, they've kind of been loosening up a little bit on ISO 4 or ISO blue 4, which has been better. I don't want to say it's been good. It's just been better. It's still not by any means a quick or easy way to blue 4 your characters, unless you're whaling out, like you said, crazy amounts of money, which I don't do. I'm a very modest spender in the game, and I know some people don't spend it all in the game. And as far as blue 5 goes, that's in a whole category of its own. I mean, I have not even, since I just joined my new alliance, I just started getting small amounts of blue 5 ions. And so thinking about getting a full-blown Big Daddy Apocalypse unlocked is still kind of down the road for me because of the blue 5. But I do wish that there was a farming method for blue 4 other than War and Crucible. I understand, there has to be they don't want to just give them away and stuff like that.
There has to be some bottlenecks. In games like this, you can't just get to the end and be at the end and not have anything to do because people get bored.
Correct. Yes, correct. So like for me, I have 2 teams done at blue, that are ready to go just for a baby Apocalypse. So
yeah,
I mean, it would be nice to do it faster, but I guess it kind of is what it is. I just, like Killshot said, I kind of feel bad for the people that don't take certain game modes seriously, because that is literally the only way that you are going to be looking at getting Apocalypse. And if you don't get Apocalypse, the competitive factor that you're going to have is going to be 0, because you're going to have all these players with Apocalypse in War and in Crucible and in Arena, and those are the top 3 game modes, and you're not, you're going to have a very, very hard time. You're going to struggle in those game modes. So yeah.
And Goddess, what are your thoughts on this ridiculously pricey hard to come by resource?
You mean as a Kraken player, or you mean in general?
Both, right? I mean, that's the you're definitely in that Kraken territory, but at the same time, I'm a Kraken. The one thing that I haven't spent on are those blue 4 ISO packets. That was the one thing that I just refused to drop any money on, and did as best I could to encourage others to not do it.
I think so. I think that's a good idea. I think I found very quickly, as soon as I saw the price, I mean, not only myself, but other Krakens I talked to, other people in the top alliances, none of them want to buy that. It's too ridiculous. Like, obviously, we all know how Scopely is ridiculous with the pricing, but that's just like really, really sort of go over the top. And so none of us buy that. I think if you're in the higher top alliances, ISO Blue 4 doesn't seem to be something of a concern because, for example, we do 3.5 rates now already as it is, 100% every day. And so, and then War, we are in like the top, War category. So we get a lot of ISO Blue 4, and obviously all the events and stuff, milestones, rewards and stuff. That's enough that you don't really need to buy ISO Blue 4. And then especially that time when they just did they added a tab for Captain Carter where you open the 500k gold off, and you can get ISO Blue 4 as well as Teal Gear. Obviously, a lot of hoarders of gold. That was their sort of Christmas all at once, right? Because, for example, I know Zubin opened like 200 million worth of gold of OBS,
Oh
and
my
using
god.
using that, yeah, he just
Wow.
blew this
Wow.
entire goal just to open the orbs. Yeah, there you go. I mean, if you got them gold, you can basically get a lot more of the ISO Blue 4 than a lot of people would from all those milestone rewards and stuff. So it's not that hard. Like, even with the 5, like I remember when the announcement came out about what you need to get a big apocalypse, a big daddy apocalypse, as Lex pointed out, with
Yeah.
G17 and everything. You need obviously ISO Blue level 5 for all your characters, right? Well, when we first heard that, we were like, oh my God, that's really ridiculous. When are we gonna be able to do that? And I won't lie, I have to say, like for me now, I've pretty much got every single one of them, of the horsemen at ISO Blue level 5, and all the strike characters, all of them are ISO Blue level 5, except for Deathpool, because
Yeah.
I was waiting to see who was the
Wow.
last one.
Wow.
So, and a lot of the other people in my alliances all around there. So I guess what I'm saying is, and obviously we're getting the ISO Blue level 5 ions from completing all the sagas, and most
Yeah.
of us are able to do the sagas as soon as they come out,
Yeah.
So pretty much we're not behind at all. So as soon as Apocalypse get released, we will have the full size Apocalypse straight away.
Yeah, that's where it's hard for me.
Whew.
For example, is right, like I don't have all my horseman characters at gear tier 17, so I'm not getting to get those blue 5 ions from completing the sagas, right? And
Yeah.
so blue, like thinking about getting those characters to blue 5, like I don't even think I have one character with one ISO equipped to 5 yet. So,
That'll
yeah.
once you start going through the sagas, that'll change, because that's where the majority of it is right now. Yeah, so it's getting you'll be able to get as soon as you're able to get the sagas through that last tier of sagas, you'll start getting your horseman characters ready, and then one
I think the
step
risk.
at a time.
Can I add one more thing? Sorry,
Yeah.
Taka. When I want to go one thing though, I am taking such a huge risk, like a lot of or not assassins, a lot of Krakens do. Some of them are holding them, the ISO Blue level 5, waiting to see what ISO to give to these horsemen. A lot of them are doing that, but some of us, if you like, it's always like this, right, between the holders and the ones that sort of live on a day-to-day basis. And
Yeah.
I'm definitely one of those that believe that my day with MSF could end tomorrow, and I might quit the game completely for whatever reason, either voluntarily or being forced to. And I don't want to sort of look at it at that time and go, I could have like taken some of these tunes which you use on a day-to-day basis,
Yeah.
to ISO Blue level 5 and destroy people and do all sorts of amazing things in the game. But because I didn't, I hoard them, and now I'm quitting the game. I never get to use them and enjoy them, right?
Yeah.
So I've done a lot of ISO Blue level 5 on that basis. I am taking a big risk, because if later on it turns out that it's an absolute necessity for you to actually make someone a skirmisher ISO 5 where I got them as a striker, then I'm screwed as well, potentially, So there's a bit of a risk and gamble, but at the same time, like I said, if you're the kind of person that goes, I live for today, I'm just going to get my characters all maxed so I can play
Yeah.
them and use them in Crucible and stuff, so I can get. It's a bit of a trade-off, right? So I don't know. I don't know what everyone else's point of view on that is.
I feel like hoarding is dying, right? Like
I hate hoarding. I hate it.
Well, I just Rem even said it a while back too. Like hoarding is going to become harder and harder for you in this game if you want to be competitive and keep up, right? Like, you can hoard to an extent, but
I want the maximum that I can get from my characters, and so I'm not one that's ever gonna hoard. That right now I think I've got like 5 gold orbs, and I'm like, I want to open them.
I would say just having a nice cushion. Like you don't have to hoard, right? Like instead of hoarding your gold, just say, I don't want to drop below 5 million gold, so that way I at least have some sort of cushion room to fall back on. But as far as like, I have 200 million gold saved up, like you're just hurting yourself. You know what I mean? You're not really, you could progress your account or your roster or and your gameplay and for whatever reason, because you want to hoard or whatever you're waiting for. Like, what are you waiting for? It's here, it's now. So
all right, Run, what about you? How you feel with this blue 4 blue 5 mess?
So I know we're kind of running long here, so I'll try and keep it short.
That's okay.
As to the hoarding thing, I think Scopely's 6 months to a year away from being able to really get a grasp on how to curtail the hoarding and get the game to run a little more smoothly. That got out of their control. They didn't know what to do about it. They're trying things and it's not really working, and people are gonna do every little thing they can to get an edge. So hoarders are gonna hoard whenever they can. Now, unpopular opinion here as to the bottleneck of the blue 4, blue 5 ISOs and the pricing structure of them. I think Scopely knows what they're doing. I think Scopely knows exactly what they're doing with the pricing structure of these things and how to bottleneck them, because even though the player base is shrinking a little bit, the game is still profiting. They're getting what they want, and so I think they know what they're doing, and it kind of sucks to see the player base shrink. And I do worry. For me as a free-to-play player, it's fantastic when they charge you guys through the nose for blue ISO. I'm like, that's great. You guys aren't going to do it. Or maybe you will, and you'll keep the game afloat for me. That's awesome. But when they raise those prices, I do worry that some of the whales and the krakens are going to go, nope, that's a bridge too far. I quit. So that's what I worry about, but I don't mind because I'm not spent as of July. I don't spend on the game anymore, so that just kind of makes it tougher for you guys to have that advantage over me. But Scopely is going to allow exactly the amount of people access to Apocalypse that they want. Scopely is going to allow exactly the amount of people access to Blue 4 and Blue 5 that they want. They understand these numbers. They've been doing it for a while. So they have us exactly where they want. And they're getting all the information, and they hear us screaming and crying, we want this, or we want you to stop doing that. They know all that. Yeah. And they're choosing to do this. And I think it's going to continue. And I think they know what they're doing. And it's the game that we play.
Yeah. No.
Fair.
Agreed.
Fair.
All right, guys, that's it. That brings us to the end of the show. We definitely went a little bit long, but had some really great conversation, and I'm happy that we did it. It was wonderful getting to finally meet and hang out with you, Killshot. Goddess, you are everything. Thank you so much for being here. I'm never gonna live this down.
Pleasure, guys.
I'm so good with names, except today, apparently.
You're in so much trouble. I'll bring out that whip for later.
Oh my God, I'm never gonna hear the end of this. I'm so sorry.
Nope.
I love you. Yeah, I love you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for putting up with me. Obviously, Run, you know how much I love you. Lex, you know how much I love you.
Thanks for having us, Taco. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Being here. Thank you so much.
Us. It's fun.
Yeah.
Nice to see everyone.
Guys.
Bye.
All right. Boop. End show.
Yay!
Well done. Yay. Good job.
I still don't know if I'm muted or not.
No, y'all aren't muted. It's fine. I don't mute this part.
Damn, Killshot took off quick and in a hurry.